So let's wrap a taste a little bit about this coronavirus, because y'all out there wilding. All right. Okay, let's get to the heart of the matter. Heart of the matter is that the coronavirus has reached pandemic proportions. And a pandemic is different than an epidemic, because an epidemic is usually confined within a state or region or even a country. Well, a pandemic means it originated one place and then it skips across the globe, is where we are now. So I know a lot of you are out there wigging out because they canceled the NBA. And one of my good friends said, "Coy, these are rich people. I mean, these are rich people. This is serious." Well, yeah. You've got Rudy Gobert. Oh Lord, child, let's just give him dildo of the week. Who was literally like, let me touch everybody got it, and now he feels horrible in his own words. He said that he felt terrible, and according to ESPN, now his teammate Donovan Mitchell tested positive yesterday morning for coronavirus. And so now the NBA is plagued with stupidity that causes ailments. I live in Dallas County, but I frequent Collin County. Frisco in particular is about 40 minutes outside of Dallas for those of you that don't live in the great state of Texas. And there is a case where a father contracted coronavirus or CoVid-19 from a trip where he went to the San Jose airport. There was a person there working in the San Jose airport who was infected, who then subsequently infected this man. He's in Texas. The entire Frisco medical city was shut down. I had that information weeks ago. I shared it. I didn't give you the name of the hospital because the person who told me was not supposed to, but 100 staffers were quarantined. And the 3-year-old baby of this couple and the wife have it. So Tadlock Elementary is shut down. Yesterday, a good friend of mine, Carter High School, they were all passing out laptops throughout DISD in preparation of not being able to return to school. We've got Mayor Cuomo in New York who has quarantined all of New Rochelle. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Y'all stay with me. We still power for truth, baby. And today, ain't nothing but the truth. I'm going to tell you what Jesus loves. So now we have all of these things. And what this does is it spurs fear. It stems from fear. And so people start to become very concerned and afraid. And I'm not saying not to be concerned. I'm saying not to be fearful. You should be concerned. And your concern should stem to cautiousness. I've seen a lot of things on Facebook where y'all talk about people not washing their hands. Well, some people don't wash their hands, child. I mean, they just nasty. They just don't wash their hands. But the other thing is not to touch. When you go in there for the faucet, use the back of your hand, because you're going to wash the back of your hand and then, you're going to dry it, but you're less likely to do this, So we have to keep those kind of things in mind. Stuff that your grandmama taught you and your great aunt and stuff. That's stuff that they taught you when you were little. Reach back. Get that information and utilize it and give it to your kids. So here's the deal. Several weeks ago, I posted, and I actually got it from my ex. So, give shout out to the ex, to the co-parenting, working very great. It's working great. The commitment to just kind of the things that we enjoyed as a married couple where we were in sync. He still shares those things with me. And so, shout out to the ex. So he sent me, Dean Koontz wrote a book in 1981. Some of y'all saw it. This 1980 book is called The Eyes of Darkness. I'm actually reading it. Well, no, that's not true. I'm not reading it. I'm listening to it on Audible. So it's an audio book, and I'm listening to it. And I was traveling with the kids for spring break, and I listened to it. And so I think I'm in chapter 15 or 16 now. I'll get back. And, but life done kicked in, real life. And let me talk to y'all about real life. I was scheduled to be a speaker at a conference the middle of April. Good money. they canceled it due to coronavirus. Now, I don't want to get the coronavirus, but what I will say is Trump is messing with my money. And I feel some kind of GD way, because Trump, in his anti-Obama fixation, literally fired the pandemic response team that was in office when Obama was in office. That's why you don't have a plan. That's why there are not enough test kits. Did y'all know that there have been almost 200,000 people tested in China? Now, you know they got 1 billion people, but 200,000 people have been tested in China, where they are only testing people who are already sick in America. So you have people like little old Rudy bouncing the ball and touching everything and everybody, playing, who had no idea. Because why? Because they're not testing people who are traveling regularly. They're only testing people who are infirm, because there is no plan. Why isn't there a plan, Coy? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Because Trump fired the people who put a plan together. That's an aside. Going back to Dean Koontz. He writes this book. Actually, it's a really good read. You should get the book. It's called The Eyes of Darkness. It's published in 1981. Now, hold on, because I'm going to tell you why that's significant. That's significant because he talks about in the book this pneumonia-like new disease that affects the bronchial tubes of human beings. In the book, it was created outside Wuhan, China, in a lab. The disease in the book is called Wuhan 400. She sips tea, looks off in the distance. So, where did this disease, CoVid-19 or CoronaVirus, where did it originate? You guessed it, boys and girls. Wuhan, China. Now, in the book, this disease comes up like this. No one's expecting it. Killed, and now in the book, everyone that gets it dies. So that's not analogous or parallel to what's happening here. But in the book, for book's sake, that's what happens. And then it disappears. It stays gone for 10 years, and then it comes back, and then it disappears again for good. In The Eyes of Darkness by Dean Koontz, published in 1981. You say, well, why is that important? Well, that's important, boys and girls. I'm so glad you asked. It's important because, why aren't the mosquitoes dead? It's important because this disease is man-made. This disease is not something that just happened. And I feel like you need to have this information, and you need to you need to store that in your medulla oblongata. Okay? You need to know that these things are not happenstance, they're orchestrated. Because if you know that your government will orchestrate a pandemic, then you can prepare, however preparedness goes. So there are lots of ways out there. I'm certainly not, emergency or disaster expert, so I'm certainly not going to give you those tools. What I will tell you is what to get to keep your body healthy. And even then, you have to do your own research, because I'm not a medical professional. I'm Dr. Mom, and I play one at home, not even on TV. But my youngest son had the flu because he got some food from someone at the school. She put it on his plate. She was sick. She was actually sniffling. When I went to tell him not to eat it, I got pulled away. Somebody else distracted me, and he actually ate it. He got sick. His dad called me, really concerned, and asked me what to do. And so I told him, no, he's sick. He needs to be with his mama. I went old school, black mamas. No, I appreciate it, thank you. He was like, no, I'm not trying to farm up on you. It's my weekend. No. We don't have weekends. We have time that we spend with our children. We don't have designated weekends. Can't no white people, black people, nobody in a black robe tell me what to do with my children. I may consider what they say, but ultimately, I make the decision. And then I have to suffer the consequences, whatever that may be. But I make decisions for my child. And so I told my ex, no, bring him home. In 30 minutes, he was crying when he came home. He felt so bad. It was the flu. You said, well, how you know? Because I know the flu. So he was crying. I had to pull him up by his little arm and make him drink this solution that I made. And 30 minutes later, he was laughing. It took the fever about 2.5 days to break and stay gone. But, you know, that's how we roll over here. I'm not saying don't take medicine, but I think that medicine should not be your first resort. I think that when the doctor tells you that you have high cholesterol and take this medication, there should not be an expectation that you're going to take that medication for the rest of your freaking life. There should be a plan, an action plan to help you get off the medication, and there should be some delineated steps to do that. Same thing with hypertension medicine, diabetes medicine. You stay on any medication too long, your liver and your kidney fail. I recently, December 30th, lost one of my childhood friends who was supposed to be on a cancer medicine for 10 years. They deal with fear. They tell you these things, and then you get this medication, and then it destroys something else. So it's really not a help. It's basically a stopgap, temporary stopgap. Let me get back to the coronavirus. Because y'all said she on the tangent. Yeah, well, you know, you ain't talked to me in a minute. I got a lot of stuff to say. This coronavirus, they're talking about that there is a vaccine. All right, let's talk about it real quick. So there are active cases, 63,243 worldwide. Currently infected, 57,451, 91%. In mild condition, 5,000. I'm sorry, those are mild condition, 57,454. Okay, 91% of those infected are in mild condition, which means it feels like the common cold to them. They just feel yucky. In serious condition, 5,789, 9%. Okay. Let's talk about fatalities, because I think that's important. There are 5,117 people that have died from COVID-19 outbreak as of March 13th. Okay. The death rate really has to do with people who are in poor health. So about 22% of the cases that come in 80 plus years old, the death rate is about 14.8%. 8% 70 to 79 years old. 60 to 69 years old, 3.6% are dying. 50 to 59, 1.3% of those people get infected die. Everything under 50 years old is less than 1%. And there have been no fatalities from 0 to 9 years old. Okay? So I know y'all are panicking and nobody wants it, me included, but I think you need to have that information. I think you need to know that countries, China, U.S., Iran, South Korea are the ones that have, and Italy, of course. You know, the whole country of Italy shut down. Just the pharmacies and the grocery stores are open, which I thought was odd because I was like, well, what about the What about the hospitals? But they have locked down everything. So because the country was ill prepared. Don't be shocked talking about, oh, well, that's abroad. America is ill prepared. We don't have the test kits. So now let's talk about the vaccination. So China is coming up with the vaccination. That should give everybody pause. Why? Because China comes out with a lot of counterfeit medications. At one point, you know the yellow lines that they use to make the lines in the street? At one point, they were using that paint to color a particular medication. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But you can Google China counterfeit medication, prescription medication. At one point, they were using that paint to color the pill so it would match the color of the pill that was actually created here. So, a vaccination. Well, here's what's scary. They have decided to skip the animal trial. So anytime you have a clinical trial and you're trying to create a new medication, it goes through several phases. I won't bore you with all of the phases and everything. Just know it goes through certain phases. And one of those phases, before you get to the human element part of the trial, where you use a placebo and then you use the actual medication and then you look to see what happens. So remember when they say some people might when they're talking about a medication, and they say some people might swell out, their tongue might fall off, and their left toe might end up in their ear, and they get a tumor in their neck, and they grow a third breast, all of those kind of things. Well, that's because they've tested it on humans, and these things happen. Now, the Federal Drug Administration allows these kinds of things to happen, even to fatality, when it's a very small percent of the population. Don't you just love American government? They do protect us. You know what they say? The government, they're here to help or kill you. So, with that being said, they are saying that they're coming out with this vaccine, and they are rushing to get this vaccine out, and they're not going through all of the trials. So, stat.com is a publication on the internet that I like to look at. Science magazine is another one. They have a publication on there, and they're telling you these things. Everything you need to know is out there. We just don't read and we don't research. We listen to the news, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, local. We listen, and then we get our news from Facebook. You should not do that. You shouldn't even just get your news from me, although I do my very best to be completely accurate. The World Health Organization puts out information, not just the CDC. I had someone, when I said there was a lockdown in Frisco, one of my friends said, where did you get that from? That the CDC has not said that. And I can respect that, because what she's saying is I'm trying to research, but we have to go beyond the norms that they tell us, because they don't always give us all the information. They don't even want you to have all the information. They want you to be sheeple. I had the information because I got it from somebody who was working in the hospital who contacted me. And then one of my dear friends, like a little sister to me, her actual biological little sister is in medical school, and they called her to come in and fill in, and she said, no, I will not. I am not getting that. So we knew it was true, but I couldn't tell you how I knew. So I do my best to be accurate. And when I'm wrong, I will come back to you and say, hey, I was wrong, I misrepresented. But it's never intentional, because I feel like all we have with each other between you and I is the truth. And so we still power to pour truth. Now, going back, if your child is in a charter school, which is state governed, or any independent school district, they could require that you have to take the vaccination, or your child has to take the vaccination. If you work in healthcare, they can require, in order for you to keep your job, that you have to be vaccinated, the same way they do with the flu. There are ways around it. If you have a manager who is compassionate, who will work on your behalf, or you can get a letter from a doctor saying that, because of the elements or the ingredients in the vaccination, you can't take it. I don't take flu, and I shouldn't say this publicly, but okay. If God be for me, who can be against me? I don't take the flu vaccine. Early on, when everybody was getting it, everyone I knew who took the flu vaccine got very ill. Some people violently ill. And then they used to give you what my girlfriend calls the silver bullet. People would hallucinate on that particular antibiotic. It was like a one shot, knock it out kind of thing. And then the Tamiflu. Many times they're giving it to the children, and they have it tested on a child younger than, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 2. You need to read these inserts, and when these doctors are telling you to take it, know that they get a kickback from the pharmaceutical companies. I have friends that are pharma reps. Ask them. They get their bonuses based on how many scripts the doctor writes. And look, I'm just going to give it to you raw and unfiltered. Now, I love my friends, and they got to make their money. But you need to know. I remember years ago, I was not feeling well. Now, I didn't know it was due to food. So if your body can't break down certain proteins within the food, especially now with so much food being genetically modified and genetically engineered, when your body can't do anything with it, it creates tiny little holes in the lining of your gut. Those proteins fall into the bloodstream, and your blood doesn't know how to filter out protein. You start to get sick. Okay? So you start to feel bad. And so you say, oh, I've got a cold. No, you don't. Oh, I've got allergies. You do, but it's food. And we don't really do that. And, look, you can't go to Quest and get a food test. You need an IgG or IgE. It really looks at the way your body is structured molecularly, and then it determines how your body filters out certain proteins. I know that's a lot. I'm trying to help y'all with this corona thing, baby, because y'all out here wilding. Now, let's get back. When the doctor told me I had a cold and gave me some medicine to take, I got the medicine. I looked at the insert and read it. It said, guess what? Not for the common cold. That set me on my path. This is before I got married, so this had to have been 2004 or so. That set me on my path to figure out why they do what they do. So these vaccinations, they're going to have some requirements in place. Now, you can, in the state of Texas and other states, you can say no for reasons of religion or conscience. In Texas, will allow you to say for conscience. They're fighting that tooth and nail. That's more money in the pharmaceutical company, their pocket. Now, you have a lot of ignorant people, and I'm saying ignorant, and I think Tamara Hall is the biggest damn fool on the face of this planet, because here she is with a brand new baby talking about, well, I don't want my baby to get sick from someone who's unvaccinated. Why ain't you vaccinated? So if you're vaccinating your child, how is your child at risk for someone who's unvaccinated? The risk is to the unvaccinated child. But that is propaganda that pharmaceutical companies put out so that they can be what? Further enriched. This coronavirus, anytime you have a new vaccination, they put a live culture of the disease in the vial, and they put that in your body. This is a man-made disease. So you don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. That was FedEx man. I just wanted him to go on by so we wouldn't be interrupted. So I'm telling you to use caution and think about what is going on. Here's the thing. You have a right to do whatever you want to do, and I'm not trying to tell you not to vaccinate if that's how you feel. But there are more children of Ethiopian descent in Plano, where they have the largest support group in the nation for children who receive the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination. They keep telling you it does not cause autism. Ask one of these mothers of an Ethiopian, especially a boy. Ask them. Ask them. Okay? I don't want to scare you. I want to help you think it through. If you feel like that's what you need to take, then by all means do it. But you need to know what you're putting in your body. You need to ask for the ingredients, which is your right of the vaccination. But you most certainly need to know that they are not going through all of the steps that they would normally take before they introduce a medication into the public human world. They have not tested on animals. They don't even know if it's effective because they haven't done the test. You are going to be the guinea pig. They're going to get their data from you and your doctor. If your child is not in private school, you could very easily be forced to have your child vaccinated, and you don't know what the effects is going to be. Remember the MMR vaccine? I'm telling you, Google it. Children, in particular of Ethiopian descent, immediately thrown into autism. And they said, well, the child already was autistic. You have mothers that say, no, they were not. So I can tell you my children have food allergies, and I can tell you that my son has had allergic reactions to vaccinations. My oldest, not my youngest. When you know better, you do better. I just want y'all to think. I just want y'all to take some time to think about what you're doing. I think that it's important that we not run to fear and that we make some really good decisions. So now let me say this. A clinical trial for the experimental coronavirus vaccine has begun recruiting participants in Seattle. Y'all don't have to believe me. Google it, okay? And I'm not saying the Google is that the Google people's mouth are prayer books. I'm just saying you can filter through information on Google. It also says that the researchers did not first show that the vaccine triggered an immune response in animals. So your immune response would be to help fight it off. Which is normally required. And now biomedical ethicists are calling the shortcut into question, according to statnews.com. Okay, I think I said stat.com. I'm sorry. Statnews.com. You should read them periodically. They tell you a lot of good stuff. They also tell you when the CDC is full of it. And they full of it often. I'm going to tell you something else. The World Health Organization is a good place to go as well to get information, because WHO, as it's called for an acronym, is all over the world. So you have the WHO China, the WHO US, the WHO Afghanistan. You know, it's all over the world, so that you can read about what's happening with World Health from there, and you don't just have to rely on the CDC. The other thing that I want to impart upon you is that, trying to choose my words carefully because this is on the internet, and you know, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't beat my children, I don't mistreat my parents. I do fuss at them about staying gone too long and I don't know where they are. But beyond that, so if something happens to me, it's a lie. I didn't do it. I don't drive drunk, you know. So the other thing that I want to impart upon you is that the Associated Press is where everybody gets their news. The Associated Press, AP.com. The AP will report things that no one else reports. Sometimes it's just it's a gleam, a flicker of what's really going on, but it's there. Now, the other news reporting agencies, the media outlets will take that story, and sometimes they'll leave out the meat. Years ago, remember the young man who ran up into the Batman movie and shot everything that was moving? Y'all remember that? I think it was The Dark Knight was the movie. My brain's cute, but honey, they on my nerves today. Okay, so if you recall that, the Associated Press reported that the lawyer told the judge it seemed as if the man had been drugged, and at that time they could not enter a plea because she did not believe that he was cognizant and understood what was going on. If you think back, he had that crazy dyed red hair and he was just gazing off into space like he wasn't even present. There was no light behind his eyes. The Associated Press was the only one that reported that. Nobody else reported it. They crucified him in the media. I'm not saying he didn't deserve what he got because he shot all those people, but something else was going on, and only AP reported it. So sometimes you need to look beyond your normal research outlets. There are scholarly reports that are being written that you can find. Some they make you pay for, but most of them you can find. Read them. They will tell you what's going on. The National Public Radio, NPR, talked about, this woman's name is Seema Verma. She was over IT at at the Department of Health and Human Services. My God, y'all work with me today. Okay, Department of Health and Human Services. She was over it. She ran a test that shut down all IT at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. She did not tell anybody. These agencies are not talking to one another. So when they were trying in January, because this started January 22nd. Coronavirus started January 22nd when they started first seeing signs of it. Because they were doing a preparedness plan and trying to get it out, she shut it down. Now, why did Seema Verma do that? She had no idea that there was a criticality going on. I worked in healthcare where I worked at a whole system, and we knew in Dallas what was going on in Houston or Austin, and certainly knew what was going on in other places where, like the Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic. We knew what was going on. So you mean to tell me her office is elsewhere and they had no clue that she didn't need to shut down the IT? So some people's emails were down for 11 hours. So this plan and the urgency was halted. Then it had to come back up. Then they had to realize what got out and what didn't. So it staggered, halted the process to get information out. That ain't no black tea sip, baby. That ain't no coism. That happened. Google it. So I want y'all to know there's another plan afoot here. I know right now people are talking about the 5G using 60 gigahertz and 4G was using 2.4 gigahertz, and it's messing up the molecular structure of the oxygen that we breathe. Look, that's over my head. I can't speak to that. I am researching it, but I can't speak to it at this time. It's a little bit over my head. I mean, I have brains and beauty, baby, but I am no molecular physicist. Good. I mean, you know, I've been known to pull the rabbit out of my hat from time to time, but I ain't no magician, baby. But I am looking into it so that I can help give you the information that you need. With that being said, I think there is a lot going on here. There is an awful lot that needs to be discussed, and you need to get you a plan. Stop buying up all the toilet paper. What y'all thought? It's a pneumonia-like disease, not a diarrhea disease. Y'all thought y'all was gonna need to sit on the pot for days on end, and so you had to buy up all the toilet paper? What y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna do the big straw challenge with the toilet paper roll? That doesn't work out either. Y'all need to look at some of these people that's doing this stuff. This is not good. Y'all leave that toilet paper alone. But get you some On Guard by doTERRA. I don't make a dime for this. Get you some On Guard. Get you some Zindery by doTERRA. Get you some pomegranate white tea. Get you some ginger turmeric tea. Trader Joe's. Drink each cup daily. Stock up on canned goods. Salmon, tuna. You know, if you're concerned on that level. Get you some iodine so you can clean your water. Other things going on that you could do. I'm just giving you the Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs. Okay? But I care about y'all. I love y'all, black people. I know that we've had a lot going on in politics. Biden is the front runner. He's probably going to be the Democratic nominee unless something catastrophic happens, which, you know, other than the coronavirus. And y'all killing me calling it the Rona. You know, black folks, baby, we sure will give somebody or something a nickname. Y'all out here calling it, you know, they got the Rona. Like the sugar. I love y'all. Listen, there's a lot. I want to do a relationship segment, so that's coming to y'all soon. I really want y'all to get that book by Dean Koontz. And we're going to talk again real soon. So I'm going to come to y'all again on Fridays until I can get the production. And we're very close. I think we're going to be back in April with the full production. And so I can't wait to do that. But thank y'all for staying in touch. Thank y'all for continuing to ask me for my voice. We'll talk about politics real soon. But I just wanted to come on here and talk about the Rona. And so I'll see y'all again real soon. Diamonds, pearls, and Jerry curls. And we out, baby.